definitely gonna ram my leg into a chair because I didn't move it. Um, and if I do, and you hear, it's because of that. After taking a small break because my throat was dry, because I don't drink while recording these videos, I don't know why I stopped doing that. I decided, you know what? Time to actually record another video. Let me tell you, y'all got a lot of videos coming up. But yes, so as I hinted via the last video I recorded, that the last video I posted, I'm going to be doing how I was this Velma part Fred. So let's just get started. And for rundown, because the last part had a long introduction, and I don't need as long as an introduction. I'm just gonna give you a basic rundown. One, at least for the first half of the squad, I like them to have all individual roles that they fit towards their character. Two, I'm gonna be giving multiple options depending on who the character is. I'm giving them options in general that could lead to interesting storyline versus being like, this is what you're gonna do. There are gonna be occasions where I am like that, but it's not gonna be most of them. Three, I'm gonna try to keep it within the spirit of the shows and Velma. So while yes, Fred is, still gonna be writing the show because he was writing the other one. If he said was becoming Indian instead, then I would probably change him Indian, right? In the sake of Velma. But we're gonna try to keep it for the most of the lore. Those are the most key part. I'm also a now writer, so I'm not gonna be writing in particular storylines or story beats. Um, I'm not a dialogue writer, so I'm not gonna be really making jokes and whatnot. But there is things I want to do. Lastly, I want to make this show inclusive. Something that the name like Velma tried to do but did terribly. I'm actually gonna try to do. And one of these come from not necessarily making these points key character points. So I take for instance, a character might be gay, and that won't be the major thing. Last thing to note, because now that I mentioned it, I should say I don't really care about character sexuality or sexuality in general. You can be wherever you. If you want to be gay, then you can be gay, or if you are gay, you are gay. That's what I meant. So while I might mention it, it's not like if I forget, it's because I don't care. They could be anything. But yeah. So I would like to start by saying first, obviously asexual, and make that asexual. First, obviously straight, and white, because that's how it is. Also, I would like to mention one thing, because I forgot to mention this. Like we got way deep in the last video. Um, the main one I know is the live action one. What's New Scooby Doo and Mystery Incorporated. Along with the movies. So live action movies and the animated one. So those would be the main source of inspiration. So with that being said, let's get started for real. Like I said just before I went to that tiny tangent, Fred is white. It's obvious that he's white, and then he's also going to be, well, straight. It's obvious that he's straight. But I would like to add one thing. I'm removing that entire joke about being a white guy with a small dick. I just don't find that joke funny. Um, Not saying small dick joke is funny because they can't be funny. There weren't a single occasion where I really laughed at that joke. I will say this: Daphne was like a character who, at least in the show, was at least decent. Like, she wasn't as bad as the other ones. Like, it, like once again, really, if I had to put a pinpoint on like characters who would kind of enjoyable to watch, it would be Daphne family mainly. Like they were at least like rated decently. Um, Everyone else was bad. Fred was just the funniest one, right? But I will say Fred is one of those characters that is getting a massive overhaul. Simply because he was shit in the show. Every character was shit, but there's different levels to shit. And he was like just shit, but at least he had some few actually funny jokes. Well, not actually funny. It was funny, but I don't know. It was funny. Why it was funny? It was funny. It's the point. But yeah, like he had a few, so he's more likable than the rest, but it's still shit. And also because I think the storyline and all, like everything about it was shit, pretty much. So let's get into it. The first thing I like to address is something that I think would be important. His character. Fred is actually an interesting character. That's like while all the characters kind of have some complexity to it, Fred is a weird character. Um, because Fred, when you actually think about his character, is kind of weird to the point. So let's look at his careers. His careers typically focus on wherever Daphne is. Like, take for instance, a lot of times he ends up becoming the cameraman whenever she's acting, or is um like a news anchor, which is kind of the opposite of what you would think. You would think, oh, mechanic, he likes his car a lot, and he likes making machines, but it's not that, which is interesting. Another thing is like his competence. So a lot of media nowadays kind of depict him as a really dumb, maybe not competent guy, but kind of dumb. But like in a lot of older media, you can actually see that he's like smart outside traps. He's not the most intelligent person, but the main thing he is oblivious to is mainly social cues. Is the main thing. Like everything else, he does seem to be aware of and smart enough at. But he also seems to have a well, doesn't seem he has a hyper. Now, I would also like to point out that in Mystery Incorporated, his dad also somewhat shares this hyperfixation on traps. And in What's New Scooby Doo, his dad has similar like character traits where it's like he's really like focusing on like boats and how they work and whatnot. In the one prior movie, um, where they have come a very similar acting style. And matter of fact, a lot of media depict him kind of like his father's son. So that is something interesting that I didn't think about until literally just now. Like I didn't even think about that when I first wrote it. He is heavily depicted as his father's son. Give me 1 second. Sorry, my throat is hurting me. But yeah, like I just realized he was depicted as his father's son. Another key trait is he does have a type, strong, independent woman. You can see this because like I feel like a lot of times it's a trope of him like being attracted to like someone beat his ass, like Daphne, who could be his like of course it's creepy, but like Daphne could be his ass. The camper could be his like sense of camping, but like that's it's hard to describe if it's just like oh you like camping or is it more of a trap thing? Because he even in that movie he really like making traps, but he does also like camping, which is good. Because now I think about it, having that trait of him liking camping is very important for what I had in mind. Also, um, it is indecisive on why he's popular sometimes. Like he's typically, I guess, depicted as the more popular one in the squad, but like there's really nothing as far as I can think of that make him too popular. But he is built like a fucking quarterback, so that's interesting. Um, and then I was gonna say I don't think he's ever really the main person who's like the reason the group get together. Um, and I don't think there are any like personal connection he has with them before it. Now in this case, I'm gonna change it. Actually, no. In Scoob, we actually do see him being friend with Daphne and Velma already. So yeah. But besides that, like you know, what was I? Besides that, he typically is depicted as like just one the person who just naturally became the leader because he just Like I said, Daphne showcase on like headstrong, but more like confident behavior. This man is headstrong. This man was just very straightforward, very logical. Not very necessarily logical, but he's very straightforward. So those are like some key character traits of his, right? So let's talk about how I broke his story, and let's start out by the main thing I thought about. I am giving the man autism. It just makes sense in this character. One, yeah, stereotypically autism people with autism are typically more socially awkward and not really gain social cues. And then it also showcases like being hyper focused. But like the main reason I say it makes sense is just look at the way he acts. Like if you actually think about it, this man voice like Scooby Doo and them are scared of loud noises, but this man just typically avoids loud noises. Like his traps seem like they should be loud, but most of the time they aren't. But then also just like is he have a extreme hyper focus sometimes. So if anything, if he not autistic already, autism via the branch of ADHD does line up, right? Um he also very creative, which is another thing that showcase, and he's also smart, which is something else that it is showcased. But the main reason why is I'm gonna be honest, it just like I just associate him with autism. Now I don't have it myself, but like I have siblings who are autistic. I know autistic people, so it's like I feel like I have some reasonality to be like, yeah, I don't know about it, but this character give me autism vibes, and Fred's one of those. Um, Also, I think it worked nice because you get not only racial diversity, representing stuff. Then you also have like I don't like calling them mental health or mental disorders, but then you also have like mental divergence. Don't know that's even worse to say, but like people who mental like main brain patterns are different than ours, or most people right, I did pre-trial different. I pre-trials have different patterns, but people like that, right? I think it'd be a good representation. So I'm gonna have to be that. So the second thing I want to get into is what is his specialty? By that I mean we have to get into his family. His family is actually a humongous part in his story. So one thing that I do think is interesting is in this Velma, they had the mom be the competent one, and I think that could be interesting, kinda. So I do want a key point in the story to be the fact that his mom, he gets traits from both his mom and his, like everyone in the family that he knows, because that's how the trait works. But I think his mom should be a person who specializes in fashion, not because of like she's a woman or anything like that, but because she's thinks she has good fashion ideas and whatnot. So she and they only allow people who they think are valuable to marry in. So she like pretty much made her own business and then just used like some of the finances to make them even bigger. That'd be a very cool thing. So she knows the struggle like a regular person because she was a regular person, um, who kind of dug her way up and dug her way up at first to make a business from his mother being like, yeah, no, I made sure to keep this ass like this suit underneath my main thing because when you have it all over it, come on with a nice prim suit while also being flexible. But if I need something a little more formal, I just take off this first layer and boom. It also keep me warm. If I have this on, I can easily lower the temperature that I feel by taking that off, have it draped over my arm. A very elegant way of dressing. If I need some more neck room, I can easily adjust my ascot as they're more flexible than a tie, even harder to tie than a tie. Did not look that up. I didn't. I just said that. That is probably not true, but it probably is harder to tie than a tie. So like it makes sense that his like you get a lot of like knowledge about like society and like how to dress and whatnot from his mother. And I also think it'd be good for like having his mother design their stuff because I think it'd be nice. And it also could connect to a point in the show where she wanted Daphne to take over, and this could help with Daphne character growth because you could be like she has a natural sense of dressing and whatnot, but it's not like she like wants it. It's just like no, I'm just good at it, not because I'm a girl or anything like that. Just like anyone could tell a guy walking outside in slippers and socks, and like I don't know, a banana make you look like you're gonna choose someone or doesn't look the best for you. Like I want that to be a key trait where it's like people associate her with like, oh, you're very pretty, very proper, but like it's like no, I just like wearing leggings because they're comfortable and my skirt have pockets in them. Uh, and then I don't really have much outfit to go off the top because I have to wear those got like pockets, stuff like that. Where it's like, no, I just dress how I like because it feel comfortable versus her being good. But that could be a good point to connect them to. But yeah, the main reason I brought her up is because one, sense of style and sense of like how to act and be a leader he could get from his mother, while also having it be like, okay, so like, where do they get all their clothes from? Like, if you think about it, there is no reasonality that like Fred outfits should survive a lot of what it does, and it's also even funnier when like it gets tear in like an episode, and then he just have a new one. So he's definitely buying a bunch of the same thing. So I think it'd be funny if like his mother makes the suits for them. Yeah, like suits. But like essentially it's like, oh, so like the reason why Fred's shirt, but they're really flexible. They're actually made ultimately, so they're not that much uh like loft to them, but they're also not too like fun their like clothing and whatnot for like if they nearly get their arm like there's a giant slash because like I don't know Shaggy had like pulled one out the way as a blaze like coming up their arm, so it's like for again but it's like a massive Cleveland shirt. I think it'd be cool because I have a idea that like most of the money would come from Fred. But yeah. So the next person is his father. His father, I think he should be a lawyer. Um, have his own lawyer organization. But like, yeah, I know. I'm a lawyer, man. I love helping people. Also, like to make a key point that I feel like his major thing should be money. So, like, I think that as he experiences more people who don't have that much money as he does, he should change his word point of view and whatnot. And I think that one thing that he would confront his father about in some manner, whether it be an official trial or whatnot, is I think his father should be someone who like very disassociated with his clientele and not really like getting to know them on a personal level, but rather he rather spend all his money and use a bunch of money and resources that he has to get a bunch of private investigator to look into all this stuff and whatnot to make the best case. And while Fred's like this does make sense on paper, you also gotta keep in mind the fact that having this as your main thing doesn't really give you the full, give you more of a picture, but doesn't give you a hands-on thing about your personnel. So you have the evidence, but you don't really have the connection to defend your personnel. Um, and whatnot. So And if I one of the storylines I thought about was like you could have a point where Fred has to like he set a trap that was too dangerous, and because of that, he has to face like stand up for himself in the court of defense, while also they don't have all the evidence yet to put it on this person. So it's a race against the clock in between someone who's like very hands on with it and getting to understand people, and while also like getting the full story from as close of a as he get versus his dad who just sends money to like people to find stuff because of private investigators. So while he has more maybe more fine information or a broader amount of information, it doesn't like necessarily overshadow what he has. And it's a race against the clock because the rest of the squad has to find like definitive proof that it is this guy while also keeping for out things. And I think this could also be a key character choice because it could make his name traps less dangerous. The last member of the family that I think is important, I do want to say they could probably include grandmother or something like that, but I didn't know what the include with them is. What's it called? The grandfather. I think his name would be engineering, or I think would be science. As a matter of fact, I think I went engineering originally, but I was like, you know, I went for all the type of different divisions. So I think science would be the main thing that he like to focus on. He has like engineering, but you know, his main thing is science and like doing labs and studies, um, and whatnot. So going back to the father, because I do want to mention this, I think that the father should have a very keen interest on hunting, uh, because well, his dad shares some of the traits as him, so I think he should have a key interest on hunting. Um, and this is how Fred get introduced to his love of traps and whatnot via hunting. So a lot of his traps are way more like permanent disfigurements, like they think about bear trap, but like not as dangerous to start off with. But he start getting easier on it. Um, that's one of the storylines I would like to have, and then what else? I don't think there's anything else for that. Oh, Fred is typically depicted as a single brother. I don't think there's really any iteration where he or you know. Because the next thing I like, now that we have the family out of the way, one thing that I like to say is that they're all business and they all share the same name, but they all different divisions of it. And I think that'd be cool if Fred has his own division, but he doesn't care for the business stuff, so he doesn't really prosper it until he realizes too like, man, I could have been using this better. Like he mainly use it just to keep people give jobs and like they can do whatever they want. And then it's just like, you know, he used it to tinker with making traps and whatnot or engineering stuff for traps. Um, Also, I like to say that he's very obsessive over the law because of the fact that his father is a lawyer. His father could be obsessive with the law. So he was like, yeah, no, I very obsessive with the law, and he could be the lawyer guy. That's one main thing I want to do is that he's like his intelligence isn't necessarily towards like figuring out the problem, but he's like, okay, so these are the charges we get them on. They this, and then also making traps. So you'd be more of a close quarter mid range fight where it's like you have to give them time to make it, and they're gonna have to get kind of close to falling in the trap. But there's like a middle range, and also like he can fight still, at least a little. I don't think he can fight most raiders, but yeah. So he will be able to fight. Um, that's what I was saying. Well, I have to have a business, and then I was struggling because I'm like, should we give him a sibling? But I don't think that may be necessary. I do like the idea, but I'm not sure. Um, There could be a nuclear family case, which could be interesting. Where it's like the adopted son actually cares more, or like the actual like the second son cares more about the business stuff, but Fred's always the one that seems to get it. Fostering this thing where it's like I'm gonna pass it on to you because you're better with it. I do think that the story should end, or his aspect of the story should end with like a message, like him kind of giving his brother or like a friend of his because he had a friend outside the Mystery Incorporated, a friend who is like very good at business, giving him the major aspect of the business to run, but he takes like okay, like the main like he pretty much his friend pretty much run the business, while Fred uses it like the money he used to fund Mission Incorporated. No, that's not a rare word. I outward. Fred has like later in season because of his friends and whatnot. Fred essentially like has his company, but he uses kind of like how Harry used his for like new business in Spider-Man. We don't know exactly how really gonna go, but in the Spider-Man TV show, Harry's like, we're gonna make a business for all the promising people to come, right? And I think we can do a similar thing here, where Fred's like, this part of the business is mainly focused for promising people, people who want to develop themselves or develop technology while giving them access to do stuff. And we just take this proportion of it and use that to help as a backup fund towards our Mr. Inc. So let's just say Daphne doing an acting gig or whatever gig that they have set, like wherever you make the job be. And then they also don't have a mystery to solve right now. Boom, funding from there to help give her money to live on, right? I think that'd be a good point. Like, I think that would be a good character arc for him to have, where it's like he making the trap less dangerous, and then he also like becoming more aware of people's situation and how people live when they don't have much money. And then because of that, the way they go about it is what I'm trying to think. The way you go about it is by providing a system in which people can more easily grasp their full potential, while also allowing you to make money. Um, Once again, I think his main thing should be like a lawyer, but he's also should be fixating on traps and engineering. Um, in particular, mechanical engineering, I think is the best. But I can see him being mechatronics engineering. I'm trying to think of anything else for his character that I thought of. I don't think so. Um, how does he know Shaggy? I think that he probably met Shaggy because he's autistic. So to get diagnosed, it was like Daphne, Scoot. Oh my god, it was Shaggy mom or dad because I think it's his dad that is the psychologist in the show. But yeah, what job? I think that his job outside. Well, actually, yeah, no, I think I covered that too. But if you want like a specific job, I think outside would be like a mechanic or like a he makes auto. He's a auto mechanic. No, oh my god, my brain because I think I was recording the videos. Okay, his main job outside like Mystery Incorporated and like a pseudo running another business is like he followed Daphne, record stuff, and on the side he like makes some robots and whatnot. I think that's pretty good. I can't think of anything else I need to add for his character. But I have to go to class soon, anyways. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it for all the character stuff for him. If there's more that you think I should add, I'll look in your comments to see any suggestions, and I might post shorts about it if I think of something else. But yeah, I think that's it for today for this part of the video. I hope that y'all enjoy it, and I'll see y'all next time. But once again, just to give you a brief rundown, family, big, rich. Stories center around learning how other people struggle and learning to define himself as not very much of a stickler towards rules, still being strict, but not necessarily too strict, and listening the lethality of his devices, while also growing to understand how the poor people are and stuff like that. White, straight, that's pretty much summary. Also, if you're wondering why I spend so much time with family, because like Fred character is kind of hard to come up with outside like family, because that's how he's depicted in some media. Like, even Mystery Incorporated had him like one of the key story elements of his character being around family. So yeah. Also, remember this. Um, he is going to be a football member. Like he's gonna be on the football team. That's not a big ass part of the story. And he's gonna be relatively popular. So yeah, that's it. See y'all next time. Also, yeah, I don't like the idea that sorry. See y'all next time. But before y'all go, you don't like the idea of him being a father. Me his if you don't like the idea of me Shaggy because of his father, I think that a better version of that is him just being in that school. Yes, school. But yeah, see y'all next time. For real, for real. And remember, uh, if you're gonna play games with your friends, make sure they know what button to press when they're playing the game. See y'all next time.